I'm honored to present to all you beautiful people with this dope track featuring David Wood, a.k.a. The Dizzle. Buckle up and enjoy the ride, ladies and gentlemen.
You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not on a boat. Not with a goat. Not in a house. Not with a mouse. Take the L and do something constructive. Take the L with your life. You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not on a boat. Not with a goat. Not in a house. Not with a mouse.
I think that, damn it, I forgot what I was going to say.
Get the hell out of here, Biden. Let me take over and show you how it's done. I'm with my boys, and I'm about to drop some bombs. I mean, bars on these fools. Listen up, Mr. Trump's on the mic. When Sal's on the beat, gonna set things right. Listen to the Dizzle, feel the beat. Trump Wood, Sal, can't be beat. We're here to rap, here to play, bring in the heat in a major way. Bring in the heat in a major way.
That's right. My name is Joe Biden, and I approve this beat.
Listen to the Dizzle, listen to the Dizzle, listen to the Dizzle.
Might I suggest using some of that high-octane protest energy of yours to call on Hamas to release the hostages and surrender. Release the hostages and surrender. Release the hostages and surrender. Release the hostages and surrender.
That boy Sal will be coming up with some slappers.
And we are here. Welcome, ladies and we're back. Okay, fantastic. Sorry about that. So this is a drop a hat live stream to cover this topic that we have today. This is an unusual live stream. We normally don't do Fridays, but you know what? Today we are because of what happened yesterday. And I'm joined by John. Would you mind introducing yourself real quick?
John Newton, another YouTuber, got another channel, also science fiction author, The Healing Stone, and others. These are contemporary Christian books and stories and stuff. But we also do a lot of work on Islam, a history of Islam. We've been doing a lot of stuff recently on the Crusades, because that's a thing that's usually hit to say, yes, well, what about the Inquisition and the Crusades? You guys are evil. And so this would be a response for that. And lo and behold, today, last night, 8 o'clock, something interesting happened.
So we're talking about Israel hitting Iran. So they attacked Iran with a strike. We'll get into the details of that and why such thing might have happened, the details, and was it justified, which is the question. And if you guys are in the polls, you can see that now. Yes, I see the loading symbol. Let me know if it happens again. It should be cleared up. So we have thank you, Israel, on the list. Well, we'll see now. As far as anyone who wants to give super chats, I do have the wheel. It is now running and ready to go. It's got a lot of interesting things on it. Some stuff that I've added, some things that I've taken away. So we'll see how that goes with it. But until we get to that point, let's go ahead and dive into this topic here. So the attack. So according to Israel, they did a strategic strike onto it.
I have a intro here.
Go ahead and give a little blurb
late
about
breaking news last night, June 12th, 2025. Israel launched a series of airstrikes targeting Iran's nuclear facilities, military infrastructure, and senior leadership, codenamed Operation Rising Lion. The strikes reportedly hit key key sites like the Natanz nuclear enrichment facility and killed several high-ranking Iranian military officials, including Revolutionary Guard Commander Hossein Salami. Iranian state media and international outlets reported explosions in Tehran. Now, I believe you got a map of this, of all the locations.
Yep. Let me throw that up, actually, while we're doing this.
Okay. In other cities, with Iran confirming casualties and damage. Israel stated the operation aimed to neutralize Iran's nuclear program, which it views as an existential threat, citing Iran's uranium enrichment to 60% purity, close to weapons-grade levels. Iran has responded with missile strikes against Israel, launching dozens of ballistic missiles toward Tel Aviv and other areas, prompting air raid sirens and Israeli defense systems to intercept them. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, vowed severe punishment, and the newly appointed Revolutionary Guard commander. Why there was a new one? That's a good question. Why did they have
the other one died?
Mohammed Pakpour threatened further retaliation. The U.S. confirmed it was not involved in the strikes, but was notified in advance by Israel. President Donald Trump urged Iran to negotiate nuclear deal to avoid further escalation. I think he said, if you want to survive, you better.
Well, he's being honest. Hey, he's being upfront with them. Hey, if you guys don't want to get screwed over, you guys really need to take this. Yeah. It'd be stupid not to. So why did Israel feel the need to retaliate? Well, let's let the ruler of Iran's supreme leader tell us.
Oh, okay.
So let me turn this off here because there are subtitles. Let me know if you guys can hear this well. So this was before the attack.
بعضی از این حرفایی که در این سفر رئیس جمهور آمریکا به منطقه مطرح شد لایق جواب دادن نیست اصلا.
And you wonder why they might have been saying, if you guys get nuclear vessels there, we might have an issue.
Yeah.
There might be you might just decide to blow us up. That seems like a small thing, right, John?
That does. And we're going to be looking at the just war theory and to see what, if Israel's strike does satisfy just war theory. And it's not so much strict rules as it is guidelines.
Absolutely. So let's see what else they have to say, because it's still quite a bit more.
اینقدر سطح حرف پایینه که مایه سرفکندگی گوینده حرف و مایه سرفکندگی ملت آمریکاست. اونا رو کار نداره. لکن یکی دو جمله رو باید روش توجه بکنیم. ترامپ گفت که میخواد از قدرت برای صلح استفاده کنه. دروغ گفت. ایشون و مسئولان آمریکایی، دولت‌های آمریکا از قدرت استفاده کردن برای قتل عام غزه.
So far not looking like they're being very peaceful.
No, now this was before the strike.
This was before the strikes. The strikes had not happened. They're trying to negotiate, and we'll see from some of our even elected individuals some perspectives here that this definitely seems to violate. So we'll have that later on for you guys.
برای جنگ افروزی در هر جایی که بتوانند، برای حمایت کردن از مزدوران خودشون از قدرت این استفاده کردن، چه از قدرت برای ایجاد صلح استفاده کردن. بله، از قدرت می شود برای صلح و امنیت استفاده کرد. به همین دلیل هم هست که ما به کوری چشم دشمنان هر روز بر قدرت خودمون و که قدرت کشور انشالله اضافه خواهیم.
Just to point out, I can understand death to America from their perspective. I can understand death to Israel from their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But what on earth did poor England do? At this point, it's just a Muslim proxy. Right? In a lot of ways. I mean, they got Sharia strongholds. Now, these are Shia, not Sunni. So that is a difference. So we're talking about the hypocrites there, to kill the hypocrites. That would be the other side, according to them. All others that aren't their type of Islam are the hypocrites. So death to them as well.
And we can see that right after the Islamic Revolution in 1979, they went to war with Iraq, and I believe it was an 8-year war. Why would Muslim state next door to another Muslim state attack them?
Because Sunnis hate Shias and Shias hate Sunnis, and it goes all the way back to the original divide of who's supposed to be the next rightly guided caliph.
Okay.
And it goes back to, did Abu Bakr kill Fatima? What happened there? Did he usurp him? A lot of questions around Ali's ascension. That's the base, and then they take different hadith. Each group takes different hadith and so forth. So that would be the root, the basic root of it. There are a lot more on top of that, but that's the basic root of it.
به همت ملت‌های منطقه آمریکا از این منطقه باید برود و خواهد رفت. حتما تو این منطقه اون نقطه مایه فساد، مایه جنگ، مایه اختلاف رژیم صهیونی است. رژیم صهیونی که غده سرطانی خطرناک مهلک این منطقه است، حتما باید برکنده شود و خواهد شد.
There you go.
So again, it's like, okay, this is the background for Israel to say, it seems you are gearing up to make nuclear weapons here. This is what you guys are teaching. This is what's coming out of your leader's mouth. This is what your people are calling for. Seems like we might be in danger.
And they're saying that Israel is the root of all evil in the region. It's the one that's causing all the problems. When you talk to the Saudis, they're going to say Iran is, with supplying the Houthis and the rebels down south with weapons and stirring up trouble. So I don't think that is definitely not a universal consensus in the area. Iran saying that Israel is the root, and they got to keep stirring that up, because me against my brother and I against my cousin and I against the infidel. So as long as they have, if Israel was not in the region, what would they be doing?
They'd be killing each other.
Yeah.
The Sunnis would be attacking the Shia, and the Shia would be attacking the Sunnis, and they would
because
be
it would be the right
forth.
It would be the right caliphate, and they'd be fighting over who would be
unless they got ticked off and then went after us.
So I got to make a comment though about Iran. It's not only Muslims there though.
No,
it's Muslim majority, but there are Christians and
Muslim
other groups,
majority,
Zoroastrians, others that are in there, right? And for them, it's like pray. And we're praying for the region, praying for Israel, praying for other things, praying for peace that doesn't escalate any further, but also pray for Christians and non-Christians. They would find the Lord in this region too.
Yep. And this right here, don't forget that Iran also threatened the USA alongside Israel. Yep.
Yeah, these chants that they do here, it almost looks like a cult, right? Is that they have cue cards in here to let these guys know what to say?
Probably.
This is by
probably
script.
enforced. This is what chants. But then you got the same chants in like from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, yada, 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 yada. I don't know that I'm calling for genocide.
But you are.
But I am.
Saying that.
I know. And it's like, guys, you just calling, that is not allowed. No, should not be calling for genocide. So let's finish this off and then we will roll on to the other points we had here.
One guy in there like on board.
I don't want to be here. I'm tired. I want to be here if I
hope they
could
don't
be.
show me on TV. Oh yes, okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So then that was the backdrop to the attack. Then we have the attack happen that we already talked about.
Right.
And then Israel released a statement.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and take that into consideration as well, because that would affect if this was justified or not, depending on what their actual target was. So here we go.
So Israel
And they just give a little introduction at the beginning. That's why I skipped ahead.
launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. In recent years, Iran has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. 9. In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before, steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival. 80 years ago, the Jewish people were the victims of a Holocaust perpetrated by the Nazi regime. Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear Holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime.
So there you go. That seems to be the heart behind this. Hey, as you just saw, they are chanting our death, and now they have got the ability to do it. And now when you're refining uranium, there's a couple of different ways of doing it. If you're just doing it for power plants, it's a different process in many ways than what you do for nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. Because nuclear weapons, you want highly concentrated and it all to go off at once. Where if you got in a power plant, you want it to slowly go. You don't want it to suddenly go off all at once. So they'll normally use like 1/20th what you would use for an actual bomb in a power plant, that then you just slowly drain it and then do it again and again and again. You just keep restocking it slowly, where bomb, boom, all at once. It's over. Everything with it is over within a second, at least the nuclear release.
Now, I got a question for you, though. So let me play devil's advocate here. So what if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, makes an atomic bomb? Who cares about that? I mean, we've got states all over. Pakistan has one. I mean, they could even ask their buddy Pakistan for one if they really, and they could have all this time, right? So Does it really make a difference that they're enriching uranium? Russia's a buddy of theirs too. I've heard somebody say they could ask Russia about this. Say, hey, can you send us a nuclear weapon? I mean, just because they have it doesn't mean they're going to use it. Playing devil's advocate here.
Pretty obvious they're going to use that.
Why would it be obvious?
Well, if you're saying you're going to kill someone, you're going to kill someone, you're going to kill someone, and then you go out and specifically buy a weapon in order that is meant to kill someone. The writing's on the wall, and if you don't do something, you're a moron.
Okay, so I've got 4 things here that'll say. We can dig in this later if you want, but 4 things saying why this is an imminent threat and not just something off the cuff for like Pakistan. Why is Pakistan next? Are we next because we have nuclear? The U.S. I should say. Are we next because we have nuclear weapons? Are they going to do that to everybody?
Well, I mean, we are hearing chants of from the river to the sea, but that's not our politician. Well, that's not our president saying it yet.
Right, and there's a lot of other things that Iran has done in the process too. There's a whole lot here, and this is since 1979. The chanting "Death to America" and "Death to Israel." They've been saying that since then.
And there's been a lot of people in Iran. He says Iranian regime must go. Yeah, they haven't liked this. They don't like it.
We've got another devil's advocate thing here. The U.S. has until recently, for the last 30 years or so, been involved in regime change. And for the most part, that doesn't go well. We do not have a good track record with that long term. So to say we'll get rid of regime.
One of the problems is when we've done that, the people haven't actually wanted the regime change. In Iran, it's a little different. They want the regime change.
We also had that in Iraq too, and there were people that wanted to see it go. The problem is there was such a power vacuum, and what we wanted to set up as a democracy did not work.
Okay, well, we're getting sidetracked.
Sorry.
Let's get back on topic.
Okay.
So you said you had some points. What were your points?
Okay, well, this is what happened with the Iranian threats. So you've already shown the rhetoric there, anti-Israeli statements from the beginning of this new government from 1979 on. It's like that's a cornerstone. I mean, the chants and everything that's going on there, right? And I have some other people. They were saying here preemptive strike that they want to do against Israel themselves. Have they done that? Now, there's a support for anti-Israeli ideology. Iran champions the Palestinian cause, just like he said in there, what they had done to Gaza. And putting Israel as an imperialistic oppressor that's fueling this whole war. How much have they had their hands into everything that's going on with Gaza? Hezbollah, they were behind Hezbollah in Lebanon. Yep. Hamas in Gaza. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad, PIJ, Iran backs them. They participated in the October 7th attack. So there's these proxies that Iran has gone through, and it's no secret. This is something that they even boast about. Then you have Syrian proxies and the Houthis in Yemen. So there's many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 proxies. Direct attacks. April 13th was attacked. October 1st, 2024, attack. And June 13th, 2025, retaliation following Israel's attacks on Iranian nuclear sites and military targets. Everybody probably remembers this one. 100 drones and dozens of ballistic missiles, escalating direct conflict. So they've done this before with the ballistic missiles and drones.
That one there is
I'm sorry,
the one that
today.
just happened.
Sorry.
So yes, everyone remembers that.
That was
That's
today.
why we're talking.
I'm talking about. I'm sorry, October 1st. That was the missile barrage that happened then. Other threats: nuclear program, cyber warfare, assassinations, sabotage. You also have with the Houthis what they're doing to the Red Sea. So all of these over and over do make a difference. They add up.
Yeah.
Clear and present.
So clear and present, no question. They've been aggressive in the past. They are continuing to be aggressive. Now they look like they might be gearing up for nuclear. And there's no intent, no sort of warning that this would become peaceful in any way. This is very obviously going to be aggressive. So
Yeah, I was just reading that one there.
Yep, go ahead.
Stuck with the troops in Baghdad were running to bunkers at 1:30 a.m. because of Iran. Now,
She's Baghdad.
Oh,
Baghdad.
I was wondering if that was a first-person account.
Yeah. Well, keep safe. Keep safe in the end. So we heard from Iran's leader. We heard from Israel. Now let's see how they're covering this with the news.
Tehran.
So, yep.
Who's covering this?
I believe, whose account is this? It says Tehran live. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So breaking news, Israel.
When Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, issued this statement, he said, the Zionist regime opened its filthy and bloody hand to commit a crime in our beloved country and revealed its evil nature by striking residential centers more than in the past. He goes on to say that the Zionist regime has prepared a bitter and painful fate for itself and will definitely receive it. No, Ode is back with us now.
They're playing the victim card.
But those were not targeted. Those were not areas that were targeted. This was a precision strike.
Details. And they got to fluff up the numbers a little bit.
Okay.
From Iran. What do you make of that statement from Iran's supreme leader?
Well, it is really what Israel is expecting. Israel understands and understood when it drew up these plans, when it took the decision to strike and destroy Iran's nuclear capability, but also the conventional capabilities, that Iran would want to retaliate. In fact, news reports say that the expectation is that within the next possibly 2 hours, there would be the first preliminary response from Iran, and so there is readiness for that, and those plans have already been in play since the early hours of dawn. The Israeli government announced a state of emergency. It put the airspace under lockdown, canceled schools, canceled all normal activity in civilian life, and instructed thousands of reservists to report to active military duties. So there are.
So yeah, they're preparing for it. Israel's now preparing for the retaliation, which they're expecting. On top of that, yeah, the leaders, no mention to, hey, we're calling for the death just a little bit ago. Now you're shooting at us. What? You're armed? Why?
That is. If it wasn't so tragic, it would be funny.
Well, that's the same thing they did whenever the Crusaders came down. There's the response of the Muslims there that went to pillage, rape, and torture them and steal from them and be like, why are you armed? You come to my door armed. You're supposed to be easy
targets.
You're supposed to be soft targets, and right. You come armed and ready. So, well, let's review a couple things real quick here from X. So these are responses from some Muslims, some political people to the original. Yeah. Well, this one here is the one I'm going to pull up first, which was Hikikachu, who's going to be possibly at the next Seek and Share Truth conference debating the Islamic dilemma and maybe some other things, depending on how we work it out. So he said, World War III, here we go. That was immediately after the post, not long after that. Of course, Iran has the right to defend itself. Now, he's gotten into trouble with some of the other Muslim Dawaists because he leans more middle on the Sunni Shia split and seems to be like trying to play middle ground. So, and he does have, I believe, a Shia background going up. So, yeah, he's a little partial. He's got in some hot water for it. So, If you won't mind, take this one.
So just intercepting one Israeli jet would be enough to deter these rats, at least momentarily. Just one.
And the reference to rats, referring to Jews as being rats, is something that seems to be pretty popular across the board with Muslims and Muslim apologists.
Iran knows.
This Iran military. He's reposting what they posted.
Okay.
They said it's time to shoot some rats. So kill the rats. Here we go with another one here. People in Gaza celebrating as they watch their killers run to the shelters like rats. So, and then he's got a video here of them celebrating. This is the firing back. They're celebrating fires back. So again, different mentality. I don't celebrate the death of non-believers.
No.
But this is something within Islam. They celebrate it. They want it. It is something that is good in their mind. I find it as horrendous because even Christian deaths are bad, but at least if they're Christian, I know where they're going. Non-believers, it is truly tragic because they can only be going to one place. And unfortunately, a lot of times they put themselves into those positions, but again, wouldn't be celebrating it like this, of course. So let's see here. Candace Owens weighed in.
Our foreign policy is dictated by Israel. Trump will continue to do as he is told by Netanyahu. If you want to know what America will do, spare yourself the fake White House press briefings and start listening to Bibi. We are a colony of Israel. You politicians are bought and paid for. Wrong.
First of all, I don't think she understands how colonies work. Because we can't possibly be a colony of Israel.
It's the other way around.
It would be the other way around.
If it was, and Israel's not our colony. So
absolutely not.
Yeah. So this is the same type of rhetoric that you would hear people say that we are an extension of Russia. We just do Putin's bidding. So no, this is not. It's not consistent across the board.
Not at all. Unfortunately, she keeps going.
The most predictable war plausibly ever. I'm so sick of Israel. This is not me talking. This is her, okay? I'm so sick of Israel and those who pretend its actions are normal or even remotely justifiable. This country has a bloodlust like no other. Have an issue with this tweet? Literally do not care. Think defending Israel's demonic actions are going to guarantee you a spot in heaven? Double your indulgences and sign your offspring to die for Netanyahu. Leave the rest of us alone. So,
yeah, still spouting more of the continued nonsense. Again, Israel does not act like a bloodthirsty nation.
So,
not at all.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna take a closer look at these actions and line them up with
if it's a just war or not.
Just war, right?
But these are just what is going on around us. Of course, we have our wonderful wannabe Dawaist Sneeko here saying that Israel is not compatible with Western civilization.
Spoken by someone who wants Sharia.
Did you read that out of the Book of the Council of Nicaea?
Wow.
I just want to know if that's where you got this evidence, if you ever found that book that you claim was taken out of the Bible. About as much research was taken and put into this public post. They put here, of course, Israel is, because it is based off of Judaism, which, guess what? The West is based off of Christian Judeo values. So, yes, it would. It fits a lot better than Islam does. But yet you'll try to sell that Sharia should definitely be here. So, what you got?
There's some good chats in here. I think this one's here. Yeah, she better watch what she says about demonic being anti-Israel is demonic. Now, I would disagree with that to a point, to say that Israel is a nation, they can make mistakes like any other nation can.
Yep.
And so
free to criticize just like any other.
And we would know that look at the Old Testament. God was anti-Israeli sometimes when he had things. They walked away from him. He said, you guys need to learn this lesson. Look at the book of Judges. Look what happened with Babylon and Assyria. So there was times and seasons where that had happened. So you got something there. Do you want
Yep, we got us 5 gifted Your Brother in Christ memberships, which I got the wheel back.
Yay.
Which is fantastic. So we'll see what it is today for you. Let's go for it.
I'm cheering for the goats. Goats. No, we passed the goats.
Which one is this one? Party horns.
Party horns. What is it?
Times 2.
What is a party horn?
That would be one of these. There you go. So yes, the wheel has made its return, and thank you very much for those. Let's see here. I think there might be something outside. Yes. If you guys get a spin a couple more times, maybe you'll find out what is outside that we're laughing at. So let's go ahead, and you know what? Let's go to one of our members of Congress.
Just as talks with Iran were starting to resume, Netanyahu launches a strike and declares a state of emergency. He's provoking a war Americans don't want. We should not allow ourselves to be dragged into yet another conflict. I kind of agree with that. Against our will, by foreign leader pursuing his own agenda of death and destruction. Okay.
Not agenda of death and destruction. If it's a precision strike, that doesn't make it. And again, the whole, just as talks with Iran were set to resume, if he's saying, and he was saying what we showed you, the video, beforehand.
Yeah.
Before this post, before these talks were ready to resume, it was actually in parallel with what Trump was saying. This is referring to what Trump was saying in that. Mm-hmm. He had no intention.
No.
Of going to bat.
You might say that, well, this is just his public face putting it down. But if he's priming the public by saying this guy's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's a warmonger like everybody else, and then he turns around and says, no, I accept the peace deal, he's going to look weak. So, no. I don't think he had any intention of
never any intention of going for a peace, but yet here's our representative going right for it, our Muslim representative in Congress. Fantastic. Well, she's not the only one. So we also got our other representative. Yay!
The Israeli government is bombing Iran. Is a dangerous escalation that could lead to a regional war. Our war criminal Netanyahu will do anything to maintain his grip on power. We cannot let him drag our country into war with Iran. Our government must stop funding and supporting this rogue genocidal regime. She's talking about Israel, not Iran there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
She's trying, at least.
Yeah.
Because, holy cow. Self-aware much?
No. That's what Iran is.
I know. It's like they'll project it on to Israel to try to get everyone to hate Israel, try to get this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And if Iran is over there providing for Hamas, giving weapons to Hamas, and now they're manufacturing nuclear weapons, who do you think they're going to give it to? I don't think they were planning on firing it off themselves.
Well, I'll say that I'm glad for the U.S., are glad our southern border is closed now, because it was so porous you could have somebody walk across with a suitcase that would be a nuclear bomb and do something here in the U.S. So it's glad, I'm glad to see that at least closed.
So it said, what? YouTube just deleted my pro-Israel chat, live chat. on this stream.
I didn't do it.
What? Bullcrap.
I didn't do it.
YouTube, get your act together. Seriously. So, yeah, I don't see any sort of I don't even see anything. Let me see if I can see it here. Did it say it on this side? Nope. Nope. He didn't say it at all. So,
Sorry, brother.
yeah, that malarkey. So, okay. Well, that seems like a great thing from our elected individuals to be saying. After all, they want to have Sharia installed in the United States, which if you are in Congress and you say you want a foreign government's laws enforced in the United States, I have a bit of an issue with you.
Sedition.
Because, yeah, that's called being a traitor. And Ilhan Omar, which was our first one there, also openly said in a debate that her original country is her country, not this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is a foreign country to her. That is her original one, is there, and she is fighting for the Somali people in order to get them better rights and get them more money from the United States. Which, yeah, that is being a traitor. Just saying. Just saying. So, okay. So what is this all rooted in?
That is a good question.
Why does Iran and it seems Islam in general have such a problem with something tried to break in the door, and you will find out later with more super chats what that is. But
Well, I'm praying for another super chat quick.
it stays on there still.
Can they even hear that?
I don't know if they can. The filter is pretty decent.
Okay.
So, but needless to say, there is definitely something outside that wants to come inside and say hi. So, going back to topic, the reason why is in Islam, it is ingrained within Islam itself that anti-Semitism is required.
Save me, Jack.
So,
Save me.
What?
Spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel and find out. Yes, it is actually a goat. You got the goat with the star. Oh shoot, you actually did it. Holy cow, that's like a 1 in 14 chance. There was only one of those. The other ones have duplicates. You actually got that one. So he is going to go get that. Holy cow, Jack Ray with the super spin there. Wow. I'm not kidding. There was only one of those options. I was thinking back in my mind, there's a good chance we would never actually hit this one, and you guys would not see this, but I had John bring something today from his arsenal.
It's my very own screaming goat.
He brought his own screaming goat. Don't let it eat me. Don't eat my hat. Don't eat my hat. I don't.
Say hi to Eric, would you?
Say hi to everyone down there.
Her name is Cinnamon. Go figure.
So Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
We'll talk to
And
you
now
later,
you're not
then.
vocal. So what do you want me to do with the goat now?
I don't know. I just had the idea of bringing the goat in.
Okay.
So I told you, bring a goat.
I think it's a one-shot deal. Jack, you are the winner. I'm going to go I got a story about Saudi Arabia with that. I don't know if you want me to tell it or not. But
Why not?
A guy and a goat. Okay. I'll say it with the goat here. I was in Saudi Arabia, and I remember this is a time before women could drive. All right. Guy had his car driving down the road. I'm going to look over. The guy was in front. His wife was in the back seat. Guess who was in the passenger?
His first wife. His second wife in back.
A goat was, yeah, I don't know about wives, but the goat was, don't lick me. Don't lick me. Go find a buck, would you? Okay. I want to take her. She is a baby, so I'm going to go take her back. She needs to be well taken care of. Yalla, Abdullah.
So there you go. That was the special super thing that I put on the cat, which was like 1 in 14th chance to actually get it. And wow, there you go. You got the goat. Literally. Hey, welcome from Japan. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. So we are talking about Israel's attack. Hey, brother, welcome. And yes, the goat was very cute. The goat was fantastic. So what does she eat? I'm assuming grain. Yes, Jack Ray. It was a goat. And the entire time, the goat was trying to get in. We heard it banging against the door. So, doesn't sound like it might not be able to be coming back. Sounds like it might be putting it back in the vehicle or wherever it needs to go. So, yep, the goat. Hey, got the high quality goat option. Maybe I'll borrow cinnamon again from John, and we might just bring cinnamon back in the future for a future live stream. We'll see. Put the goat in the passenger seat of his car. Yes, that would be hilarious. At least they got seatbelts. The story was like I said, it was the second wife in the back. The first wife was the goat in the front. According to John, that's a true story. I don't know how long it's going to be, so we'll go ahead and continue. So, the problem with Islam with Jews and with Israel would have to go back again. If we open up the Quran, we look at Quran 9:29, which you guys have heard me refer to multiple times. This is the command to fight against those who do not believe, including Jews and Christians, until they submit and are paying the jizya while they are humbled. So, question for you about the goat, about cinnamon. What does cinnamon eat? There's a question in the chat.
Hay, grain mostly now. She was little enough that she was drinking milk, goat milk, but now she's off of that, I think. But she is comfortable. I'll just let everybody know she's well. No goats were harmed in the making of this video. She's very comfortable in the passenger seat. My wife is watching her from the rear, so we are all good.
Funny. Oh, there it is. So we have a comment here saying that I need a goat that screams like the Dizzle.
She was screaming when she's out here. I brought her. Okay,
I got one.
That'll work.
I was the one who made it for the Dizzle.
Yes.
Which is the irony of it. So like I was saying, we had a bunch of the screaming goats with the Quran in the mouth for the last conference. We might have some more this one.
How long were you muted?
I don't think so. Not very long.
Okay.
Because it literally just popped up. Don't know when the wires must be loose.
Okay.
Which is always so much fun.
That's
I need a new setup. So she's beautiful. Logo. Thought that would be a fun little treat for you guys.
Yeah, she's a bit of a midget.
So, but like I was saying, we open up the Quran 9:29, orders all Muslims to subjugate Christians and Jews. Quran 9:30, then the very next verse says why. It's because of what we believe. Now, of course, it says that Jews say that Ezra is the son of Allah. We're still waiting for this Ezra dude.
Where in the world did they get that from?
I don't know.
Ezra restored the temple, rebuilt the temple.
Yeah, but no one said that he was the son of Allah or the son of God.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're waiting because it parallels it to the Messiah is the son of Allah for the Christians. So it's putting it as a parallel, saying it's on the same level.
Jews don't say that.
Not a thing.
No.
I know, but the Quran says otherwise. So therefore, the Jews are actually hiding it, according to the Muslims. They actually know about this, and they have deceptively hid it so that the Quran looks like it got something wrong.
The Jewish friends that I had growing up with would not say that at all.
So yes, even a piece. I don't remember if he got it at one of the conferences or if he just made his own. He might have just made his own. They're not that complicated. A little hot glue, a little piece of the Quran, and the Screaming Goat. Not terribly complicated. In fact, I have how to make one on my page. How and where can I get one? Come to the Apologetics
If she can.
conference coming up.
Should
The
share it,
Seek and
just
Share
do
Truth.
it.
Hey,
So
there are
long-
airplanes.
There's a long drive.
Very long drive. You might need something submersible in that case.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Quran 930 is where we get it. And of course, according to Quran 98:6, we find out that the Jews and the Christians are the worst of creatures, as well as the polytheists. So the unbelievers in any way, shape, or form are the worst of creatures. I actually had someone try to argue that this literally was just referring to polytheists. So the polytheists that are Christians who are polytheists because they believe in the Trinity are what the people of the scripture is referring to. So those who disbelieve among the people of the scriptures and the polytheists will be in the fires of hell. So he said this second polytheist referred to the pagans. This one here talks about the Christians who are polytheists. You see, so I asked him, so Allah is an idiot because he just said the polytheists and the polytheists will be in the fires of hell.
Yeah, what distinguishes them? They in no other place does it distinguish the difference between the two, right?
No, in the Quran, it is always that the people of the scripture are not polytheists in any way, shape, or form, because Muhammad did not believe this whole Trinity is a polytheistic thing. That's something fabricated by the Muslims much later on. You can see that a lot of times in scripture. But let's be honest, that would not be enough for many Muslims. So we also have hadith. So here's Sahih Muslim 29:21, which talks about you will fight against the Jews and you will kill them until even a stone will say, "Come here, Muslim. There is a Jew hiding himself behind me. Kill him." And this is repeated multiple times. Here's another one. Sahih Muslim 29:21b also says the same thing. Talks about the stone, saying kill him. And again, again, talks about behind a stone or a tree. And again, and it just keeps going. So here's one from Sahih Muslim. This is 29:22. Talks about it. Here is another one from, and it's just the same message over and over and over again. That's why I'm not reading through each of these, because it would just be a repeat. So this is from Sahih al-Bukhari, 29:26. And here we go again with Sahih al-Bukhari. And this one is 660, talking about it again. And here is Sahih al-Bukhari 29:25, talking about it again.
So wait a minute. This, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
This is talking about jihad, correct?
This is talking about a consistent fight against the Jews, and eventually, because you've got to find and kill all the Jews, that causes the end times to come.
But I thought jihad was just a personal struggle that you had yourself, correct?
Not even
it's not
close.
physical.
Not according to the Quran, not according to the Hadith. It is physical. You are charged with fighting in the cause of Allah. It is your duty, even if you don't like it. It is good for you, so go do it.
Yeah, I'm playing dumb here. Yes, of course, but that is an argument that's often used in the West to say that. But if we read this, it's saying the opposite.
So, and again, we have it here, which is another one, Sahih al-Bukhari, 35:19. 93. Now, do you know if you have multiple hadith who all transmit the same thing, they're all reliable, what that is called?
No, I do not.
It is mutawatir hadith.
Muddy water?
Mutawatir
Hmm.
hadith, which is beyond all reliable. So it's not a question, according to Islam, that
It makes sense.
the
You know, if it's going to be
end will
repeated
come.
so many times, then it's hard to say it means something else.
And of course, you have to have this where in Quran, this is Sahih Muslim 2767a, where the Jews and the Christians are being given to the Muslims as their ransom from hellfire, or in this case, rescue from hellfire. And then this one
Wait
here,
a minute. I didn't think there was any substitutionary sacrifice in Islam.
well, only when there is.
Okay.
Then there is, and there isn't, and there is, and there isn't. And Muslims don't know about this one, so they don't really deal with it too well. Even Muslim scholars decide they don't want to deal with it. In fact, I did have the opportunity to ask a Muslim scholar. In fact, I will give you guys a real quick snippet of his credentials and then how he replied to me when I asked about this specific hadith here, because it is important. Because what happens is you go to the on the street Muslim, you ask them about this hadith, they say you got to go to the imam. You go to the imam, he says, oh no, I'm not qualified enough, I'm just a truck driver, go ask the scholars. And then you go to the scholars, which this is his credentials, and then I'll show you what his response was. So his credentials.
Dr. Nasser Karamian, he embraced Islam at the tender age of 14 and began a life of research and dawah, being an active participant in local MSA events and lectures. He received his Bachelor of Arts degree from Concordia University with a major in religion and a minor in classical Arabic language. He went on to earn a master's degree in the history and philosophy of religion from that same university. He then continued his Islamic studies in Qalam Institute, which is headed by Sheikh Abdul Nasir Jangda. In 2019, he completed his PhD from the International Islamic University of Malaysia in Usul al-Din and Comparative Religion. Dr. Nasser has traveled throughout the US, UK, and Canada, giving lectures on Islam to various Islamic youth groups and organizations. He joined Al Huda Foundation in 2020 as Imam, resident scholar, and youth director. Please welcome Dr. Nasser.
So that would be who I asked. So I went to him to ask about this hadith, this specific hadith.
What did he say?
This is what he said.
I'm not going to be forced into answering something that I am unfamiliar with, so I'd rather look into it.
So you're unfamiliar with Sahih Muslim?
With that particular hadith, yeah. Do you know how big Sahih Muslim is?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Yes, it is large.
So,
So Sahih al-Bukhari. Sahih al-Bukhari is actually 10.
so wait, okay, I don't, it's a little bit off subject. Can I say
Go.
something? Okay, so I have been told by Muslims that the Quran itself is very simple and clear. So
Except for
why
it's
do
not.
we go to the hadith, and why is there so many that even a PhD doesn't even understand what's there?
Well, you know, Muhammad answered that question when he was asked.
Okay.
Why it seems that the Quran is so unclear when you claim that the Quran is clear. He said, well, some things are clear and some things aren't clear.
That was not very clear.
Yeah, it's a bullcrap answer.
Okay.
So that would be the response to that hadith there. According to the Muslim scholar, I don't know. He was lying. He definitely didn't know because he reacted when I asked him. He reacted to it. They didn't focus on it in that one, but it was obvious that he knew what it was, but didn't want to answer it. So he wasn't going to be forced into answering it. So,
I like to use that argument.
yeah, I'd like to use
Very
that
convenient
argument.
argument.
Very convenient. I don't want to be forced into answering something I haven't studied, even though I'm supposed to have a PhD in this thing. But I'm so totally an expert, and I've traveled the world teaching it. Don't know the word clear. Yes, it's as clear as
That's true.
mud.
That's true.
So go ahead. You had something?
What are we going to do the just war?
Yeah, let's go do it.
Okay.
So comparison into just war. Was
Okay.
this just according to what we just saw?
Okay. So we had done on my channel, we did a review with David S. on the just war theory. And this was, we talked about, we went through and said, okay, where did it come from? Back to Aristotle, and through the ages up till now, it's been refined and going. It's not really something that's solid, but it's based on Judeo-Christian ethics, or definitely have bled into it. In fact, we're going to do on Tuesday, we're going to do a comparison of the West's or Christian just war doctrine and compare that to what maybe Islam says. And is there something that they have that's comparable, and do they line up? So,
well, we'll find out.
So what I have here is a contemporary version. This is something that's built up over time. And the first version that we had in like the 4th and 5th century, it only had 5 tenets, maybe 6, but then it's grown over time to, I think there's 14 now that are in there. But I think it's good to ask what they are. So there's 3 different sections that it goes into. There's just war, the justice of war. That's before you go into war. These things have to be done or should be done. These are guidelines. Then during war, there's some things, and then after war. Now, the whole concept of being just war happening after war, that's newer. That's more contemporary. It wasn't in the original just war theory. That was kind of built up over time. So we can look at these with the first 7 and then 4 more, not the bottom 3, because the war isn't over yet with Iran and Israel. But to say if it does develop into a war, this is going to be one strike. But what do you think? Is it going to continue to go?
Maybe, maybe not. We'll see.
Right.
I think Iran talks a big game, but we'll see what happens.
So the first one is legitimate authority. Did Israel have legitimate authority? And they're saying an example of legitimate authority was if we're talking about a state, so any nation, or maybe sometimes the UN would be a legitimate authority. That's not done all the time in one of those cases. So I ask you, and maybe the chat, did Israel, are they a legitimate authority as a nation to make this? It's not like you got some rogue power that's out there.
Yes, they are a legitimate nation.
Okay, so that one's easy. That one's easy. Now, just cause. This one's tougher. Self-defense, humanitarian intervention, and what was the definition of R2P?
I would definitely put this in self-defense, though. At least that's what they're saying that the statement is. And if you have someone saying, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, and then they go buy weapons to come kill you, and they show up to kill you with such said weapons, you need to defend yourself because they've made their intent.
Okay,
clear.
so that the three things are here. Now, if you want to take it off the screen, but 3 things are here: self-defense, humanitarian intervention, or responsibility to protect. So you have responsibility over another nation or another group, and you need to intervene to defend on their side. Like someone's picking on your little sister, you have a right to defend. You need to go out there and do it. It's not only acceptable to do it, it's like you better get your butt over there, buddy, and defend your sister. So those 3 things. Is that satisfied with this? In this case,
I'd say the self-defense part.
Definitely.
Because again, that's they clearly stated it, and then again, you can tell if someone is refining it for basically just power plant use or for on a level that would be required for a nuclear weapon or multiple nuclear weapons. It's pretty obvious.
Would territorial expansion be a just cause?
Just on its own?
Mm-hmm.
No, not necessarily.
I want your land. That's not just cause. No. Okay.
That's not. You don't get to.
So is Israel using this as a land grab for Iranian land?
That would be stupid.
Yeah, they'd be boxed in for one thing.
Well, that and this isn't next door.
Right.
This is way over there. No. And even if you want to try to say, well, Gaza, they're land grabbing for Gaza. Give up Gaza. So no.
So we looked at 8 different reasons or 8 different things that Iran was doing over the last 20 years since the Iranian Revolution more than not Iranian Revolution, Islamic Revolution in 1979, has been saying and doing things consistently over all these years. This is not like I could burn my neighbor's house because he has a gun. This is not that. My neighbor is making a mortar in his backyard pointed towards me. He's already hired 3 assassins, and he's been yelling over the fence that I've got to die. That is the kind of self-defense that we're talking about here.
Absolutely. And we have points saying that weapons need to enrich the uranium much higher than needed for use in power stations. Yes. And I explained that earlier on, saying, oh, shoot, no. It's definitely higher again, because if it's in a weapon, you want all that power to be instant, where in power stations, you want much slower power drain off of it. So it's normally like, I think 1/5. No, just 5%. 5%. It's 5% of what you would require for a nuclear weapon would be what you'd be using in a standard nuclear power plant.
And you don't want to use the enriched in a power plant.
No.
Things go boom when you do that.
Yeah. We don't want that.
So if you've got it, there's only one thing you're going to be using it for.
Yep. Definitely on that scale, that you're going for nuclear weapons, and based upon how Iran has worked before, always using proxies, they weren't going to launch it. They were probably going to give it to one of their proxies to then use. And then they can stand back and say, oh, they stole it from us. Or if it gets tracked back to them somehow, it's not our fault. They stole it from us. We were just going to use it for our nuclear power plants. And they just stole it. I don't know how. So yeah, malarkey.
So the next one would be right intention. So right intention must be used to achieve a just peace, not vengeance or conquest. So yes, Iran has done some things against Israel. It has used everything, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, all the list goes on, as proxies. So Israel could say, we're going to get you. But they're not in this. You can look at how the strike was done.
It was very
precision and
precision. They hit this, and multiple cities are outside of the hit zones. So they weren't targeting civilians. They were targeting specific locations in order to annihilate them.
Now, you could say that they were hitting civilians as the scientists, the nuclear scientists who were involved in the enrichment program and so on and so forth. But that line gets very fuzzy when these guys are making the nuclear weapons to begin with. They are directly involved in the threat against. If they're taken out, then it makes it much more difficult for Iran another 6 months to a year to get back on the wagon again. I'm wondering how many times is it going to have to be done?
Well, on top of that, this wasn't to stop the proxy wars against Israel. It was just to stop the proxies from being able to get nuclear weapons. So they're not even going that hard, as hard as they probably could go against Iran. So this is very controlled reaction to Iran itself.
Okay. Well, the next thing on the list would be, so this might be something that's a little bit debatable. It's proportionality. The expected benefits of the war, in this way, a military strike, must outweigh the anticipated harms. And I say this is somewhat debatable because this could escalate very quickly to worse things. However, you're basically disarming your nutso neighbor over there that's baking this mortar. You've trashed his mortar, and you've taken out the guy that's next. The neighbor analogy breaks down because with a neighbor, you have a police force that they're in society, and the police force can come in here. This is international. You don't have that.
No,
you can say maybe the UN, but I don't think they really qualifies.
Yes, I would say, looking back at this, proportional, I'd say it's very proportional, considering that none of these strikes were necessarily targeted at anything more than what was required.
Right.
So and if you say, well, even then, because now we might have a little bit of a fight going on here, might even break out into war. If they were to drop or set off a nuke in Israel, there would be a lot more deaths, guaranteed. So in order to stop those civilian deaths, you have to make this move. I can say that that would definitely be proportional, considering that they were, again, only targeting those who were directly involved in this, or military outposts that would be involved in this.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Okay. We can go on to the next.
So the next one would be last resort, number 5. All peaceful means of resolving the conflict must be exhausted. Do you think that this, given the prior diplomatic failures that have happened here, do you think that they were like, "Ooh, we were just negotiating with Trump, things were going so well,
No.
we were just about ready to handshake with him, and they went ahead and did this"?
No. Based upon the very public video that
You just showed at the very beginning.
Showed at the beginning.
Yeah.
No, he had no intentions of actually.
The Ayatollah was really bad-mouthing the U.S., bad-mouthing Israel, and saying that they've used power, both us and Israel, have used power indiscriminately, and we're just warmongers, and can't be trusted. Only they, basically, like them, can handle power well. We don't handle power well. So, no, definitely was going to be doing that. So yeah, so far we're hitting 1,000. I don't know. Is there anybody who disagrees with these?
Well, we do have a poll going on right now that we will check in a little bit, asking if it was justified or not.
Okay, but you don't see any disagreement in the chat or anything, like people saying?
I don't see anything in the chat as of now other than calling us nerds. That's about it.
Do they compliment
Absolutely.
you all the time like that? That is
Well,
so
the next
nice.
Dr. Knight is Dr. Knight, definitely.
That is so nice. I appreciate
Yes, it is.
the love I feel going around. I just bring the goat back in so the goat can feel the love too. Cinnamon needs to feel this.
Cinnamon definitely needs to feel this.
So last resort is satisfied, given the diplomatic failures. Number 6, reasonable chance of success. There must be a reasonable expectation that the war, or this way, military strikes, objectives can be achieved.
I'd say that is if their objectives were to stop Iran from having nuclear weapons and blowing them up, I'd say so far that has succeeded in that regard.
Yeah, and I think it was probably wise to also take out, I'm careful here, taking out the scientists that are involved with it too, because, okay, you took out the facilities, that's fine, we'll be up in 18 months. But if you take out the know-how, then that delays them that much further.
Longer.
I think this is only a delay, because it's eventually, this is going to...
It's a delay. Unfortunately, with all the Islamic nations around them, it could be an issue. Now, they could probably strike even more into Iran without having the other Muslim nations react. Why? Because if memory serves, they're all Sunni, where they're Shia. So they might just ignore it. There's a lot of Muslim speakers, Dawists, who have not mentioned anything about this. In fact, Hikikachu is the only one.
Interesting. They're not...
No.
They don't want to venture out on this one, huh? Well, it's also...
Nowhere.
Most of them are Sunni too, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So we do have a super chat from Jack Ray saying...
Taking his chances, man. Taking his chances.
That's supposed to be Indiana or something?
Illinois?
Oh. Don't know. You got to be more clear on that, buddy.
He's not feeling well? Needs some goat love?
Let's find out.
No good. No good. No good. No good. Switch hats.
Okay. Now I got to switch my hat.
Switch a hat.
Switch my hat to something else. So there we go.
Fez.
Fez.
Are cool.
I got a fez.
Both sides are cool.
I don't have both.
So strikes damaged in key nuclear facilities, like at Natanz, and killed senior military figures, suggesting partial success in degrading Iran's capabilities. Israel's advanced military and intelligence capabilities, supported by precise targeting, indicate a reasonable chance of achieving objectives like delaying Iran's nuclear program. However, complete elimination of Iran's nuclear ambitions may be less certain, and escalation could undermine long-term success. I don't know how else you could do this, though.
No,
I mean,
you strike what you can.
Yeah,
and go from there.
Right.
So,
Number 8, proportionality.
Number 8, proportionality.
Is it proportionality?
We already did proportionality, didn't we?
Oh, I'm sorry. We are moving on. Okay, so this was beforehand. Then
I see.
Minimize collateral damage. So this is proportional to say that, like, yeah, I've heard, like, you know, been attacked by somebody say, I will kill him for slapping me. Well, that's, you know, it's got to be even, man. Just, you know, if you're going to do something back, it's another slap. If this guy is coming straight out. So Israel did not bomb them. They could have used nukes, right?
They could have.
They
Israel
could have
does have
bombed them
access
back to the
nukes.
Stone Age.
So you want to get nukes? Here you go. I'll give you some.
So-
Field delivered and launched.
Just in bellow, minimize collateral damage. Military actions must minimize harm relative to the military advantage gained. And the question here is, did Israel do the strikes targeted military and nuclear sites? The reports mention explosion in Tehran and other cities, raising concerns about civilian harm. Israel's use of precision-guided munitions suggests efforts to limit collateral damage, consistent with IDF targeting process. So they usually do this as a matter of course, right? To they'll drop leaflets before there's a bombing, like in Gaza and so forth. That was to their own detriment to do that, because it's giving people time.
It lets people know, and we did the same thing in Japan when we were going to drop the nuclear bombs. Is we warned them a long time beforehand, said, hey, on this date at this time we're going to be dropping a bomb here, be aware. Now, clarification, that is actually Israeli flags.
It did not
translate it.
It did not translate it.
Nope, didn't translate it. So it's still legitimate.
So that's another one.
Another spinny.
No go.
Let's find out.
I could go get
Maybe go get a goat.
Big goat.
Maybe go get the goat. You got to pull it out of the front seat. Spin confetti.
Confetti.
Confetti 2 times. So that would be the confetti balloons that are happily placed right above us. You wonder why they were there.
Remind me to bring an umbrella the next time you invite me over.
I told you, make sure to bring, if you're bringing any drinks, make sure to cover them. Because if not, woo, things get a little messy.
Why you didn't do that with the goat here? She would have freaked out.
That would have been funnier.
No, would not have. She would have peed in my lap. So
that would have been great.
That is not on your spinner. That is not. That is not.
I should have made that
no,
for myself.
it is not. I give these guys ideas. No. So one thing about the civilian casualties, though, be prepared for them to say, "Oh, they hit a hospital. Oh, they hit a school. Oh, they took out the baby formula factory." Whatever the deal is, you're probably going to hear reports of that, because, I mean, this is the land. They want to say what they want, and they want to get Western support for them. So the next one is compliance with Geneva Conventions, or wait a minute. No, discrimination.
Discrimination.
Strict civilian protection. Well, that's kind of, attacks must distinguish between combatants and civilians, avoiding in civilian targeting.
I said they did.
The only thing you could say
I
here, and this
deployed
is kind of a gray area, is to say the scientists.
Well,
right?
yeah, but then it's question, you are employed in the military in that way.
As a contractor.
As a contractor, and you are doing military work, you know what you're refining this for. It's not like this is a hidden thing.
So I'm not sure if their setup would be the same as the U.S. Maybe since he's the supreme leader, basically a dictator, can they sequester good people who I'm teaching physics in this university about, and then I get dragged into their weapons program.
So, question from the next Dr. Knight here, saying why we haven't asked Lily J's ChatGPT about it. Are you scared?
Just scared by
Well,
GPT.
we got some chat GPT. Well, not so much chat GPT, but you were talking about Grok that we'll be referring to later on once we're done with this preliminary thing. That was rather interesting.
Mhm.
So you did bring up a point on that when you got here. It's like, oh, well, I asked Grok, which is, what is that? X's AI thing.
Mhm.
So we'll go through that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and finish this up. though.
Okay. So strict civilian protection, likely but inconclusive without precise casualty data. But unfortunately, we'd have to rely on Iran's casualty data to say that. And they say millions died, millions. Compliance, number 10, compliance with Geneva Conventions. This is the one that I had earlier. I'm sorry, it's number 3 on the list. Compliance with Geneva Conventions. Actions must adhere to international humanitarian law, including the Geneva Conventions, which prohibit targeting of civilians. Again, collective punishment and excessive harm. So the collective punishment is we're going to line up all steel workers who worked on this, and we're gonna shoot them all, or all the civilians that are in this area, or your fifth column. I don't know, whatever you want to fill in the blank. Or excessive harm.
Yep.
You'd limit that. So did they comply with that is a question.
I'd say so. As far as excessive harm goes, it seems
Okay.
to try to eliminate that as much as possible. You're still going to get some issues.
So number 4 is obviously not something that Aristotle and the earlier philosophers had put in here. Rules for new tech, i.e. drones or cyber warfare, which has been a part of what Iran has been using. Use of modern technologies like drones and cyber warfare must adhere to principles of distinction and proportionality and necessity. So, like, I'm going to wipe out all their medical records. I'm going to send a virus to do this. That would then affect the civilian population to a large degree. It wouldn't really help with the whole reason they're doing this. It's not going to be a nuclear deterrence.
Yep. Nope. So they didn't do that anyway.
No.
So the answer would be no on that one. So aftermath.
Aftermath is not something we have
We
yet.
can't do that one.
No. So we've hit all the overall evaluation. Maybe you can put the other one up.
Overall evaluation. I disagree with some of the points.
What do you mean?
I'd say proportionality should have been on there.
Well, the only reason why I didn't put that there is because we don't have the data yet.
I guess.
And the same with compliance. It's not that it'd be red. I would have made that red if it was a violation. It's just that we don't have the data yet.
Okay, so all in all, seems to be a just war, at least aligning with just war theory.
Yes.
So let's take a look at the super chat here. I mean, not super chat, but the chat here. So 76% of you guys said it's justified. 19 said you do not know. 19% said you do not know. And 6% said it was illegal. I'd be very interested in that 6%, because I don't share that opinion, to let us know why it was illegal in the chat. That would be interesting.
Yeah, if that person is still there, they can put in their reason in the chat, right?
I don't know if it's more than one person or just one person. So it's out of 54 votes.
So it would have been more than one person.
Probably more than one person. So if you voted that it was illegal, please let us know why.
Probably 3 people, given those numbers.
I would be very interested in hearing that perspective, because it's a different perspective than I have. So I'd be up to hearing that. But while we're waiting for that, we did have not ChatGPT, but Grok tell you something interesting. So
Well,
what was this whole thing?
Well, Grok's evaluation was the same pretty much at what we had, in saying that overall evaluation, Israel strikes likely satisfy most of the contemporary, because there's different versions of the just war. There's 4 different versions that I've found, different categories. But the contemporary just war doctrine or theory, the criteria for it: clearly satisfied, legitimate authority, just cause, self-defense, reasonable chance of success, and public declaration. Probably satisfied, right intent, last resorts, and rules for new tech. And it used the same reason that we had used to say that we just don't have the information for. And that's where the uncertain part had fallen into. So pretty much, I was surprised. Some of these some of these AIs, depending on how they are, the rules that they've been trained by. I've done one with ChatGPT talking about Muhammad and rules for Islam, that it's okay. This is okay here, but when you come to Christianity, no, you can't do that. But it's using the same criteria. So it was surprising. It came out that way.
Interesting. So I think in conclusion, to answer the question, was Israel's Iran strike illegal or justified? I think justified, absolutely. The question is, again, those who said it was illegal, I'd love to see why in the chat. We'll give you a few more minutes to be able to do that.
Yeah, I really want to see the answer. I wanted somebody to debate me with this.
So, your questions. How is it illegal?
International laws are a joke. They only work if someone's willing and able to enforce them militarily.
You have to have someone with a bigger stick.
Yeah, I guess that's where the legality goes, right? Like the Geneva Convention, the rules concerning that, and this did not violate that. And just like going through just war theory, nothing was violated there that we can tell.
Absolutely. So that would be where we end up. But yes, you're right. If no one's willing to enforce it, then, well, it doesn't actually mean very much now, does it? Just words on a piece of paper. But if you do have someone with a big enough stick willing to enforce it, then yes, those are rules that we can go by. Now, that being said, we have the upcoming Seek and Share Truth Conference. I just put the link to this page here down in the chat. This is a free conference that we do every year. In fact, I was just up at Dearborn, in Dearborn, Michigan, at another church there. They cost, the tickets themselves, I think, if memory serves, cost upwards of $200 a piece. And the conference is about the same time, with about the same number of people attend there that attend our conference, but with a lot less speakers. So we have quite a few speakers here, and we're trying to keep this free. That's why we do the fundraising. That's why I need to push it. I'll let you guys know about it, because I'd like to keep this free forever. But we will see if that happens. So here you go. So make sure to go get your Seek and Share Truth Conference tickets. The date is July 31st through August 3rd. So the very last day of July through the first weekend of August. It's at Steel Valley Church in Youngstown. You can get your tickets just by clicking Get Tickets. There are online options in case you're not able to make it. And yes, we need to do a thing, but it has to be a pre-recorded video because of how things are set up. So we'll have to do that celebration later at some point, or maybe I'll just say screw and do it online. But I need my wonderful wife for that, and she is not here at this point. So maybe we will do that, a specific fundraiser video with that at the beginning. I think would be so totally poetic. It's supposed to be like confetti poppers, I think it is, that she got. So we'll definitely hit that. But yes, we did hit 500 with it. Well, we're still a long ways off as far as donations go. These things are very expensive. Even though, again, the conference up north costs $200. I did the calculation, and it does make sense. Because running one of these beforehand, those sort of level of tickets do make sense. If you want to even barely break even.
Yeah.
So, and then there's one down in Florida that we do that they say, the tickets are a nice thing, but we don't even get close to the cost that they put that on. They blow out the house on it.
It's very nice.
I think they spent $76,000 on the last conference.
Wow.
And they didn't have this number of speakers.
Wow.
So please keep that in mind.
And the debate.
And the debate. Oh, yes, because we do have the debate with Hikikachu coming up Hopefully, if everything works out well.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to see that debate there. And yes, we will be providing popcorn. We have a food fund, but we need the fundraiser to go really well in order to have the food fund.
So
we can provide popcorn for everyone. And Muslims included. They can have the popcorn too. It's for everyone. It's all inclusive.
yes.
So that being said, please silence all phones before the beginning of the live stream.
So I want to talk about, can I talk about this next Tuesday coming up?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. That's
And
what
I sent you a link in case you don't have it. So we have been talking about the what just war doctrine for the West or Christians that have come through. And we did, on my channel, we did that a few weeks ago with David S. And since then, we've been doing a review of some of the Crusaders, some of the defenders of the West, and using Raymond Ibrahim's book, Defender of the West, to talk about those guys. But the big question that I have, and this is a bit of a debate, is Christianity has its just war doctrine, or the West has its, okay, it's based on Judeo-Christian ethics. What about Islam? What is the Islamic version of that? And so we're going to have, on my channel, we're going to have this guy, we're going to have David S., and the three of us are going to go through what the Islamic scriptures are, and we're also going to do a comparison, just like we did here, side by side. What about limiting civilian casualties? Is that something that Muhammad did? Is that something in the Quran and the Hadiths? Is that something that's stated that, yes, this must be done? How do you handle prisoners of war is another thing. Anybody take a guess on how prisoners of war, especially females, are handled? And so those are questions. We're going to stack them up side by side and say, how is it being handled now? Are they being consistent with that across the board?
So there's a link to his channel. Let me share that here. So if you guys want to go subscribe, take a look at it. You're almost at 1K. Let's see if we can get that over that
That'd
number.
Be cool. That'd be cool.
So, yep, if you click live streams here, we have the upcoming one right here that we will be doing, Justified War in Islam. And that one ought to be really interesting.
It is. And David's really good. He just has, he's going to be working on his PhD in philosophy. And so having him there to speak at it from this side, and he's a great brother in the Lord, really familiar with scripture. So he's got that side as well, and familiar with Islam. And I think between the three of us, it's going to be a good overall discussion.
So I think we got the response to one that said that it was illegal. So, said that he hates their government, but Israel does not have the right to violate other countries' sovereignty. Well, if the other country is loading up nuclear weapons in order to give to proxies, in order to kill you, at what point do you say, I'm going to protect my people? Because that is the function of a government. That's the justified function of government, is to defend its people.
Yeah.
So at what point in that process do you say, no, enough's enough? You're not allowed to kill innocent people. We're not going to allow that. At what point in that process does do it? And yes, that does include going over there, because you could use the same argument for, let's say, World War II. Well, America didn't have the right to go violate Nazi Germany's national sovereignty. They were just treating the Jews in their culture according to their culture. It says Iran doesn't have an air force.
Yeah, well,
to even come over to America. Well,
9/11.
Yeah, it doesn't require.
You can borrow a
don't
plane.
have to have an air force.
So if you are speaking sincerely, I think an analogy on a personal level works. With some analogies on a personal level don't work on a national level, but I think this would. If you have somebody who has drawn a gun, who has said that they are going to kill you, and has made repeated attempts on your life, and they are loading their gun, I think it is legitimate for you at that point. And there's no police officers, nobody else is around. It's you or them. At that point, I would think that most people would say it's legitimate to shoot you. And by the way, we've just gone through just war doctrine. So if there's any tenets in there that you would say, no, it doesn't satisfy that, I'd be happy to hear.
So we have another one here saying, but Israel has been making the same arguments for the last 30 years, saying Iran is close to making nuclear weapons. I think for the very point that we can point to this and saying that they've been saying that they're getting ready, they're getting ready, they're getting ready, they're getting ready, and the fact that they've held off and not done this attack until now shows restraint, shows that they're not bloodthirsty, that they're not just looking for any excuse. They're waiting for there to be actual clear danger involved before making the action.
By the way, thank you for making the comment. I mean, you don't have to, but I appreciate that.
Says it's the same.
Neocon propaganda to justify interventions into conflicts we had no right to get involved in. Well, okay, I can understand what you're saying. I'm a bit of a non-interventionist, but this is Israel. It's not us. And you got look at the history of Iran. It's not like Iran's just not, they're minding their own business and doing their own thing. There have been, we have a laundry. Should I go over that laundry list again of what was all those things that were done?
I think it's just better to get from the Iran's leader's mouth. I mean, seriously, from his testimony is the most powerful.
Ayatollah Khomeini?
Yep. Because I think he is very clear on it.
Yeah, don't trust me, trust him.
And if you're saying, well, we don't know what Iran's intents were with the nuke, well, we'll get it from him in just a little bit.
Okay, so while you're loading that up, do you want me to?
I said, oh, good, you guys are not for America getting involved. Not necessarily. If we have to, we have to, but not
I would like to stay out. We've been involved in enough wars. It's like
it's a mess, and we don't need to. If Israel is taking care of its own dirty laundry, Israel can take care of its own dirty laundry as far as taking care of defending itself.
I think we can look at the last 30 years and say interventionism, at least from my perspective. I don't want to get too political, and this whole thing is political, but we had every good intent to give Iraq a democracy, and that worked out so well.
Here's the claim. In the 90s, Israel said Iran is 3 to 5 years away from a bomb. And now today, the same idea is being recycled. Did they do a strike?
Yep.
In there in order to stop them from making a bomb?
And probably 3 years from now, they'll have to revisit the same thing. And somebody can say, well, wait a minute, you said this. Yeah, because he knocked him out.
Well, in this case, if they knocked him out in the 90s, it takes them time to rebuild. So, of course, they would have rebuilt and would have been going for the nuclear bomb again, and they need to stop them again.
I'd have to go back and see if in the 90s that they were actually, if Israel did do a preliminary strike against them. I don't know if that was the case back then. Well, I know there have been other strikes they've done.
Even if they did, that makes sense, because you have, if you have a government that is dead set on, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get it, and you take out the leadership as far as who can do it, it takes time for them to re-educate people in order to do it again. And you would have a span. I mean, we're talking 50 years. Now, what am I saying? 30 years. Jeez.
30 years, 80s. No, I think it's okay. So
the 90s.
It's well, okay. So since, okay, you're for this claim.
Yeah, I'm talking about this claim specifically.
I don't know. I'm not sure when Israel made their first claim.
So
I think every time we got involved in Middle East, we make the situation worse. It ain't just on the U.S. It's also playing Britain and France for how it is today. Agree, it's not our job. Well, the thing with Britain and France, too, I don't know if that's overall that we can say that, because if we look at the division after the Ottoman Empire after World War I, what else are we going to do? I mean, it was it had to be divided up somehow, right? Yeah, but they divided it up against non-ethnic lines, and that did cause problems then afterwards. So I think it's probably a discussion for another day. But yeah, it does make a bit of a mess. But I will say this: okay,
dealing with Islam, which is an ideology that really does make things into a mess. But let's continue here. Says I think there was no strike, but I think they sabotaged their nuclear program.
Previously?
So yeah, in the 90s, they sabotaged it. In this one, they had to do a strike in order to stop it. Again, it makes sense because of the cycles. So real quick here,
Thank you for your comments.
going back to the guy, because this would be the best way of doing it, is hearing directly from him on what his opinion is.
در این سفر رئیس جمهور آمریکا به منطقه مطرح شد لایق جواب دادن نیست اصلا. اینقدر سطح حرف پایینه که مایه سرفکندگی گوینده حرف و مایه سرفکندگی ملت آمریکاست. اونا رو کار نداره. لکن یکی دو جمله رو باید روش توجه بکنیم. ترامپ گفت که میخواد از قدرت برای صلح استفاده کنه. دروغ گفت. ایشون
Okay, so I think it's pretty clear who's being aggressive. And again, if they're the ones that get the nuclear option, if it wasn't, and you don't need planes to deploy nuclear weapons. You don't. You can use them on the ground just as easily as you could using it, throwing it from a plane. You can set them off on the ground. Not as effective, but you can definitely use them. So sane and so civilized. Absolutely. That is what Israel was dealing with. Those people are the ones who are developing very clearly, were developing nuclear weapons. Israel said, no, thank you. We need to stop this, because if we don't, you guys are going to end up killing innocent people, and our job is to protect our innocent people. So we're going to have to intervene. So, yeah, that was the old saying from Germany. What was it? It first came for what was it? First came for this group, then they came for this group, and I said nothing.
I don't know. That's been used to justify a lot of things, so it's hard to say.
They had a hit list.
Yeah,
Israel, United States,
yes,
UK.
We're on their hit list, and as porous as our borders were previously, they could be opened up again. Somebody with a suitcase. It doesn't even have to be nuclear. It could just be conventional or biological.
And there are many other options for nuclear. You can use it for dirty bombs, which are much nastier than clean bombs.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's a tough call. I don't know if there's an easy answer there.
So,
it's funny how the Middle East went from focusing on advancement in science while Europe was focused on religion in the Middle Ages, but now it's swapped. That's not necessarily.
That's not, dude. Yeah. Have you studied history?
Wait. Yeah, I don't know this. I wouldn't. So,
during the Middle Ages, when it was under, actually, I think it was even technically, when did the Middle Ages start? Technically speaking,
you say the fall of the Western Roman Empire, possibly.
So 500. Ish,
somewhere in there, yeah.
So right after that, it's when Islam took it. Islam had no care for actual technological advancement. If anything, that period, that area was technologically advanced in comparison to Europe. Islam came in and destroyed that.
Another thing to remember is we're talking about Western Europe went into the Dark Ages, but it wasn't necessary. There's a lot of scholasticism that happened during the so-called Dark Ages, Middle Ages. And you still had the Eastern Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire was very active. And they have the classics there. To say that we needed Muslim translators to keep the classic Greek text is not necessarily true, because you did have the Eastern Roman Empire, and the translators were mostly Jewish anyway. So
yeah, no, Islam did not contribute to any serious technological inventions, period.
But what about algebra? But we're not going to get into it.
No, algebra, no, they added to it. They didn't invent it.
I know.
That'd be like me taking the confetti, putting a balloon around it and saying, see, I invented something.
Well,
the confetti is completely my idea. No, it's not. You just added to it.
Simply put, the Dark Ages is oversimplification for a large period of time. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't actually that very dark.
It was kind of dim.
Slightly dim.
Slightly dim.
Slightly
There was
dim.
an eclipse.
So, okay, so thank you very much. So that's what's coming up on your channel.
Yes, sir.
Is that I will be back here Sunday on Father's Day to discuss the greatest of all fathers, God in Christianity versus the God in Islam. So we'll be examining the views on both of those. In fact, if you guys want to, you guys could be redirected to that live stream once this one is over. Again, thank you guys for all your opinions on this.
Thank you.
Keep an eye out for it. Pray for everyone that's involved in this. And as always, Dios Vot.
I'm honored to present to all you beautiful people with this dope track featuring David Wood, a.k.a. The Dizzle. Buckle up and enjoy the ride, ladies and gentlemen.
You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not on a boat. Not with a goat. Not in a house. Not with a mouse. Take the L and do something constructive. Take the L with your life. You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. You're not getting Israel. Not getting Israel. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not on a boat. Not with a goat. Not in a house. Not with a mouse.
I think that, damn it, I forgot what I was going to say.
Get the hell out of here, Biden. Let me take over and show you how it's done. I'm with my boys, and I'm about to drop some bombs. I mean bars on these fools. Listen up, Mr. Trump's on the mic. When Sal's on the beat, gonna set things right. Listen to the Dizzle, feel the beat. Trump Wood, Sal, can't be beat. We're here to rap, here to play, bring in the heat in a major way. Bring in the heat in a major way.
That's right. My name is Joe Biden, and I approve this beat.
Listen to the Dizzle, listen to the Dizzle, listen to the Dizzle.
Might I suggest using some of that high-octane protest energy of yours to call on Hamas to release the hostages and surrender. Release the hostages and surrender. Release the hostages and surrender. Release the hostages and surrender.
That boy Sal will be coming up with some slappers.